Iran has now finally responded to European Union's draft text that was revealed last week to salvage the tattered 2015 nuclear accord. Although no details on Iran's response have been revealed yet, reports suggest that Iran is still looking for ways to continue its negotiations on some issues. Iran's state-run news agency has so far offered no details on the substance of Tehran's response, but suggested that Tehran is still reluctant to follow the EU proposal. This despite warnings that there could be no more negotiations in this regard. Iran's foreign minister has said that there are three issues currently that need to be resolved before an agreement can be reached. One main sticking point in the latest negotiations was Iran's demand for its paramilitary Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps to be removed from the US list of terrorist organizations. Washington has so far refused to accept this demand. The United States in a latest statement has said that Iran must abandon its extraneous demands to make the nuclear talks a success. This can be seen as an apparent reference to Tehran's demand that the UN nuclear watchdog close a probe into unexplained uranium traces in Iranian cities. The Biden administration has been pressing for the revival of the deal as it argues that this is the best way to keep Iran from building nuclear weapons. Iran has been demanding the lifting of sanctions imposed by Washington on Tehran. It has repeatedly insisted that the nuclear deal is of no value to the country if sanctions are not lifted. The 2015 nuclear deal agreed upon by Iran, the US, China, Russia, Britain, France and Germany offered Tehran sanctions relief in exchange for curbs on its nuclear program. Iran, however, intensified its nuclear advances after US, under Donald Trump, backed out from the deal in 2018. Fresh negotiations to revive the pact started in April last year. However, due to frequent pause in talks, countries have failed to revive the deal so far. And for more on this, we are now being joined by Florian Eblenkamp from Zurich, who is a campaign officer at the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. Thanks so much for joining us. My first question, although no details are as of now available on Iran's response, reports seem to suggest that Iran is looking for ways to continue its negotiations on certain issues. What could these issues be in your view?
So thanks for having me. First of all, it's a pleasure to speak with you. I think you've analyzed it quite well in the introduction that Iran voiced these three concerns, for example, on Biden guarantees that the next US administration will not just pull out again, also that the Revolutionary Guards will be taken off the terrorist list, and that they don't have to explain the traces of enriched uranium found at unmarked sites in Iran. But I think this points us to a bigger problem, that nuclear weapons proliferation has to stop. But of course, we have to start with those countries that already have nuclear weapons, some of which are on the other side of the deal and don't abide to their disarmament obligations. So I think Iran has a point there in suggesting that it's not great to have nuclear weapons in Iran, but it's also not great that other countries have these weapons.
Right, let's talk about the bigger picture here. The US has clearly disagreed to most of the conditions set by Iran to revive this deal. What then is the future of the nuclear deal at this point, according to you?
So I hope they still find a way to agree on a new deal. I think nuclear proliferation must be stopped to any country, and that includes Iran, of course. Nuclear weapons have, unfortunately, this inherent feature of bringing instability to any region that they are deployed in. You can see it in Ukraine at the moment, but also in the Middle East, of course. The tensions between India and Pakistan keep nagging on that issue. So I really hope that this deal can be reached. But I think it would be much more likely to reach a deal if the countries that have nuclear weapons and have joined this deal also stick to their non-proliferation and disarmament obligations.
Right. Thank you so much, Florian, for speaking to us at WION World is One, and thanks for joining us at this hour.
Thank you.
WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.